Hey, this is Gary from OutsideOfTheGym.com, and I wanted to spend a little bit of time today showing you a little bit about suspension trainers and more specifically how you can make your own. Now this is the most popular type of suspension trainer right here. It's called a TRX. These have been out several years. It was invented by a former Navy SEAL who was basing it on some things that they did when they were on deployment. It's a really useful tool, very well made. However, it's also very expensive. The basic kit that comes with this suspension trainer is $150. It's a lot of money for some nylon strapping and some handles and padding. So what I'm going to do today is show you how you can make your own for right around about $20. It's a big savings. It'll do the same thing, and you can take all that extra money and invest it in some other equipment or something more useful than just a suspension trainer. So what I've got here today are some items that I picked up at my local home improvement store. These are lashing straps or tie-down straps. If you'll notice here, these are 6 foot long. Each strap is 6 foot long. And also what's important to note is that they have a working strength of 400 pounds. So these are heavy enough that they're going to hold anybody who would ever be able to use them. You don't have to worry about them breaking on you or wearing out prematurely. They should last a good long time. With that said, after you have yours made, what you'll always want to do is always check for any fraying or cuts or wear or anything like that, just for safety purposes. But if you take good care of them, these should last a long time. So this is our first piece that we need, are these lashing straps. The other thing you want to look for is they are a cam buckle tie-down. Cam buckle means they just have a quick release type lever like that. They don't use a ratcheting lever. There's two different types. You do not want the ratcheting type. You want the cam buckle. So look for that. These cost me just about $7. They might run as high as $10. If you get longer ones, they come also in like 11 or 12 foot lengths. Those are good too, but minimum 6 foot. The next thing we need, and this might be a little bit harder item to find, are these soft ties. And basically what these are is these are made by the same company. They're color matching, which is nice. They're nylon straps that are stitched with a loop on either end. And one loop is a little bit bigger than the other so that you can feed the smaller end through the larger end and then take that loop that you've made and put it around like the handle of a motorcycle or something like that, motorcycle bars or whatever, when you're lashing it down. But for our case, what we're going to use these for is to make our handles that we'll be putting on the ends of our suspension trainer that we're going to build. If you can't find these, what you'll need is a couple of pieces of nylon web strap, similar to what you have for your suspension trainer straps. And you'll have to have those to be about 18 inches long, approximately, and you'll have to do a little bit of sewing. But what I'm showing you today is a way to make this, if you can find these, without having to do any sewing, which I'm sure you'll be more than thrilled with. Now there's a couple more items that we need to use here. The first is these locking links. Again, these came from the same home improvement store. In fact, they were in the same area. You'll find most of this stuff, by the way, at Lowe's, Home Depot, or if you're in the Midwest, Menards is where I got these at. And they are going to be where your rope, chain, pulleys, that kind of stuff is. So look for it in that area. These locking links are very, very strong. By the time you put these in place and tighten them up, they're just like a chain link, very strong. And very good for using on our suspension system. The other item we have that's just about as strong, but even more convenient, are a snap link. And the snap links allow you to open it up, slip it through something, and then lock it back down. And these have a working limit of about 250 to 300 pounds each. So again, good sturdy materials. These are 5/16 snap links, and these are 5/16 lock links. So it's important to get the heavier ones so that you get a better working load limit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unpackage all this stuff and get it ready and show you the couple of steps that you have to go through to actually assemble this. What you'll need is really nothing more than a hacksaw, possibly a pair of pliers or a screwdriver, because we're going to actually have to cut the S-links off of these straps on just one end, and we're going to leave them on the other end, which I'll demonstrate to you later how we use it that way. So we're going to go ahead and grab our tools and get started putting this together. Okay, so we've unpackaged all of our materials, and I'm about to show you just very quickly how we would go about preparing this for assembly. Now, the one end of the cam buckle assembly has the actual cam buckle itself with a short piece of web strapping, and then there's a hook here. And of course, if you're using this for lashing something down, you hook it onto something like that and hook the other end on the other end and tighten it down, and that's how you keep your tarp down or whatever you're doing. But in this case, we don't need these on this end. What we need is something that will allow us to put our handles on, to attach our handles. The other end of the straps has the same type of a setup where it has these S-hooks and then just our strapping. These we're going to leave, and I'll show you here in a minute how we're going to go about using those. So what we need to do with this end is we need to use a hacksaw. This is about the hardest part of the assembly. And we're going to need to make probably 2 cuts. We'll make one right here where there's a weld, and then we're going to make one about 1/4 of an inch away again. And after we make our cuts, we might need to take a pair of pliers to break that out, or take a flat blade screwdriver and just pry it out of the way. But we need to make those cuts and get these off of here. While we have our hacksaw out, the other thing we need to do is take a piece of 1-inch PVC pipe. This is just Schedule 40 water pipe. Okay, 1 inch is important because you want it thick enough and strong enough. And from that, we are going to take our hacksaw and cut off 2 pieces 5 inches long each. So there's 2 of these 5-inch pieces. These are going to form our handles. After we finish cutting, you'll notice the burrs and the hairy stuff here around the cut. What we'll want to do is take a file or a piece of sandpaper and kind of cut the edge on the outside, but especially on the inside of the pipe on both of the handles, which I've already done on these, kind of rounded it off, taken the edge off. That'll do a couple of things. It will allow our nylon strap, once it goes through, to move more smoothly, because some of the exercises you do, you'll actually get a little bit of rotation in the handle. The other thing it does is takes that sharp edge off so that it doesn't start to wear on the nylon strapping. It'll make our suspension trainer last a little bit longer that way. Okay, so we'll have these cut, and I'll show you how to assemble those in a minute. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hacksaw and I'm going to cut these off here, and while I'm doing that, we'll get ready to jump to our next section. So we'll show you that in just a minute, how we'll do the assembly in that next section. Okay, so we've removed our S-hooks from both of our cam buckles, so all we have left is the buckle and the short piece of nylon webbing with a loop on the end. So what we're going to do is we can take either the snap ring, or in this case what I'm going to use is the locking link. I'm going to open it up all the way, feed it through that loop, just like that. And I'm going to take one of my short tie-down straps that I showed earlier in the package, and this is what they look like. We have a loop on either end. And I'm going to take one of my loops and put it through first, just like that. And then I'm going to take the other end of the loop and feed it through one of the pieces of PVC pipe that I cut earlier, that are 5 inches in length. And once that's through, I'm going to feed the other side of the loop through, just like that. And once everything is on the lock link, I tighten it down, and there's my handle. So that's my handle assembly on my cam buckle. Now I'm going to take the rest of my assembly here, my long piece of web strapping with the S-hook still intact on the end of that, and I'm going to feed that through from the underside here, because that is our strongest position. bit tricky. It's kind of hard to feed that through there, but if you put it through the other side, it'll just slide off. It's not going to be strong enough. Okay, once we have that fed through, we can pull it down like that. Now we're able to pull it this direction if we want to shorten it, but it won't go back the other way until we release the cam buckle like that. So if you want to make a quick adjustment to shorten, you can just pull it. And then to lengthen it, you have to push the cam buckle, which is exactly how a TRX or any of the other popular suspension trainers on the market work. So that is our whole assembly right there. We have two of these, and once we have the other one assembled, which I'll go ahead and do off camera, we are ready to hook it up and demonstrate how it works, which is what we will cover in our next segment. Okay, now we're going to demonstrate how we actually use the suspension trainer that we just made. So we'll take one of the straps and put it over this chin-up bar, which is one option. I'll show you another option here in just a second that might be probably more feasible for most people. But if we're at a park, or if you happen to have a chin-up bar at home, this is a great option. So what I've done is I've just looped it over and brought my S-hook back around and secured it just like that. Now you'll always want to be careful. There is one caution here, and that is you want to be sure that it's on there all the way before you use it, before you put your weight against it, because it can slip off of this open area. If that's a concern, what you can do is while you have your hacksaw out, go ahead and cut off this S-hook and use the spring clips that I showed earlier. Those close completely, and you don't have to worry about them slipping off. So with those in that position, I'm now ready to use my straps. So what I want to do first of all is get them even. If they're not even, I can adjust them up and down. Remember, to shorten them, I have to push my release lever for my cam buckle in to lengthen them. Or rather, to shorten them, I don't need to push it. To lengthen them, I do need to push the cam buckle release lever. So once I have them in the length that I want, which is about right there, need a little bit more on that one. Now I'm ready to use them. So what I'll do is, again, making sure my S-hooks are in place. The first exercise I can do, one of the most popular ones using these, is a suspended push-up or chest press. Now how I'm going to do this, once I have my straps evened up, I will get my feet in position behind me, and the important part about this is you want to keep your body very straight, keep your core tight, because it's also a core exercise along with being a chest, shoulder, and tricep exercise. So within this position, I now have options for how difficult I want to make this. And here's the key. The farther I move my feet away from the anchor point, the easier the exercise gets. See, I'm almost standing straight up and down. The more I move my feet back toward the anchor point, the more of an incline I put my body on, and the harder the exercise is going to be, all the way to the point where I can do this totally vertically like that. And of course I can lengthen them out, and that would be the most difficult position. It's basically a true suspended push-up. So I'll get to about a midpoint here for demonstration purposes, and make sure my feet are on a nice solid surface that's not slippery, and go ahead and drop my body forward and press. Just like that, just like a regular push-up. I don't want to go past the line across my chest, across my sternum. That'll be a little bit too far and dangerous for your shoulders. I want to inhale as I come down, exhale as I press away. Okay, just like that. Now that's the chest press or suspended push-up. The opposite from that, another popular exercise, is the suspended row. So again, I can leave them in the same position. And again, with my feet closer to the anchor point, the harder it's going to be. So I'll get about a midpoint here. And just draw the handles toward my chest. Inhale as I lower, exhale as I pull. Now, come around the other way here so you can see it better from this direction as well. See where my hands are ending up. Okay, so that is a couple of basic exercises using your new suspension system. I'll probably be making a few more videos here in the future. There's a lot more exercises you can do for your lower body, especially for your core, and of course a lot of upper body exercises as well. So for now though, that is our suspension trainer, and the last thing I want to show you with this is how to anchor it at a door, because if you don't have a chin-up bar, or say you're traveling, because these make a great traveling exercise tool, a doorway works just great, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Okay, now I'm going to show you what I just showed you a moment ago using the chin-up bar. I'm going to show you the same thing using a doorway, and this is a great option to have. This is a good solid exterior door, steel door. You're going to want to use something like this, preferably an out-swinging door if you have it available, but most people don't. Most exterior doors are going to be in-swinging. So what we want to be sure is that we have a good lock on here. Whatever doorway you plan to use, make sure it can lock, because the last thing you want to do is be suspended, have your weight on the straps, and have somebody come along unknowingly, open the door, and bam, away you go. So having the locking option is very important. Now, interior doors are oftentimes hollow core doors. They're very, very cheap. They just have a thin veneer of wood with literally cardboard in between. They're very lightweight, and if you've opened and closed doors enough, you know what I mean. Those do not work very well. However, if you anchor at the hinged side, you can use them. Now that's a little bit more difficult with something like this, but it could be done, but I would prefer you use either a solid wood or similar material door or a steel door like this. So what I'm going to do is take my suspension trainer straps and just drop them over the top of the door. Being that I have a good solid door here, I'll just go ahead and put them in the middle. It'll be okay. Close my door, make sure it's secure, lock it, and I'm ready to go. Now notice my straps are just like they were on the chin-up bar, and I can do all the same things from this position that I could when I was on my chin-up bar. The only difference being right now I have them a little closer together. And that's one thing about the separate straps as compared to like a TRX. You can put them close together or you can widen them out if you like. It's all totally up to you what you feel comfortable with. So again, same two exercises. In this case I'm going to lengthen out just a little bit more because I can't put my feet directly into the doorway like I could with the chin-up bar. So I'm going to press on my tabs, pull these out, make sure they're still even. That looks good. I can put my feet back. I can actually put my heels right against the door. Now I'm ready to press. Just like I did before. Works just as well. Alright, and again I can turn around and do my robe as well. The important thing is you have this doorway option. The hooks that I have on here, which you'll find on any of these lashing straps, are actually rubber coated, so they're not as likely to scratch. But typically what happens is with your double layer of web strapping is thick enough that the reveal of your doorway, your gap in your doorway, is going to be pretty tight, and that'll just pull up against that and it won't even come in contact with the metal. If you have any concern about that, you could always lay something over the door, like a cloth or something like that. If it has a bigger gap, that would also close up your gap and also protect the exterior and interior finish of your door. So that's our suspension training straps used anchored in a doorway. We've seen it also on a chin-up bar, which gives you the option to go to a park or anywhere where you have a horizontal bar high enough to mount these. And again, I'll be doing some other videos in the future showing some additional exercises. But for now, that's how you make it, that's how you anchor it, and that's how you use it. Thanks a lot. Again, this is Gary from OutsideOfTheGym.com. Thanks for watching.